Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. With the slump yesterday, as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point, other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad, back with you. This is Bettor Off Dead. Wednesday. What day is it today? Wednesday, August 27th, man. We should potentially end it all, man, because after I was on a hot streak here, we should just end the show, end, my existence, whatever. After 0-3 yesterday, and to add insult to injury, the Minnesota Twins, by the way, after they were losing, I think 3-0 or 4-0 at the end of the 5th inning, they wound up winning the game. They scored 4 runs in the 9th inning. Which never should have happened, by the way, but just to mess with me, they won a game that they never should have won. So, I mean, the handicap was wrong. I got it wrong, but Minnesota, just to be like, just to fuck with me, they win it anyway. Anaheim was down at the end of 5 and lost the game. The Cubs took a 2-1 lead, man, in the middle of the game, and then did nothing else against Verlander, and they immediately threw the lead away and then lost the game anyway. And yeah, I mean, when you have a play like that, you are going up against a good bullpen in San Francisco at least. But still, I mean, I thought it was a spot play. Thought it was the right play. Terrible. You got to move on. Curtis, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Key, what's up, man? I mean, I was doing pretty well until this week. But, I mean, unless you mean, like, shitty, like, as far as my life is concerned, yeah, it's been pretty bad. Yesterday was terrible on the show, of course. We'll move on to today. I will get right into it, man. I'm going to have 2 baseball plays today. That's all I got today. We'll talk about WNBA first, and then I got to figure out what I want to do with college football, because unlike previous college football years, week 1 has like 1 million games on Thursday. So college football has a ton of games tomorrow, so I have to figure out what I want to do about that. Like, should I do an extra college football show to talk about those games tonight? I don't know. I got to figure it out because I don't really want to talk about that plus baseball tomorrow. But with football coming in, I might have to cut down the baseball content. I've been just like talk about the big games and my plays, and that's it. Because right now, of course, as you know, I'm massively autistic, and I go through every baseball game, which I'm not going to do for football, obviously. I mean, there are way too many football games. I'll do it for the NFL probably. Maybe it'll help you out in pick'em pools and whatever. I believe I did that last year. NFL is easier to do. I mean, there aren't that many games, but college football, there's no way. We do have 2 WNBA games today. Vegas, Atlanta, which I started talking about yesterday. Looking at the wrong day. Atlanta up from 1.5 to 3.5. 71% of tickets, 96% of the cash coming in on Atlanta. So the money is coming in on Atlanta in this game. I'm not sure if there are any injuries to be aware of in this one. I don't really fully understand what's going on with that line move. Looks like there aren't really any injuries factoring into this thing. Atlanta, I mean, like I said, they took over the number 1 spot in the East over the Liberty. They just beat the Liberty and beat Minnesota the game before that. So they're off of a couple big games in a row. They did lose to Vegas by 2 on the road not that long ago. But I mean, that's a close game, man. Like coming within 2 of Vegas on the road. For me, I think that would pump up Vegas, even though technically it's a revenge spot for Atlanta, but this New York game meant way more to Atlanta, taking over first place in the East. Although I think the way the playoffs work, I was wrong. I thought that they were conference by conference, but I think the playoffs in the WNBA is just one big field, so it's really just like the top 8 teams or whatever all get in. Atlanta's definitely going to make the playoffs at this point, and so will Vegas. I don't think that's really a concern, but it's about playoff seeding at this point, so it is still a big game for both teams. Vegas, third straight road game, which makes it a little bit of a difficult spot, but they're coming off in a game where they didn't play well against Chicago, so you would think that they kind of just overlooked Chicago, took the game easily because I think they were looking more ahead to this game against Atlanta, which means more. And Vegas is on a huge streak right now. They've won whatever I said yesterday, 10 games in a row, something like that. So I don't know if you really want to step in front of that train, although the money seems to be going that way. So if you're a market reader, it is if you're market literate, it is the money is saying Atlanta on that game, but I don't fully understand that. And then Connecticut, Dallas. Connecticut flipped from a 2.5 point dog to a 3-point favorite on the road, with the money coming in on them, 76% of the cash on Connecticut, 67% of tickets on Dallas. You got to think, well, what's going on here? Because I know Dallas isn't a very good team, but Connecticut is the absolute worst team in the entire league. So how is Connecticut a road favorite in this game? So there have to be injuries going on here. And really the issue is Beckers, who is the rookie and basically the best player for Dallas. She is seemingly not going to play tonight. She played in the last game, but she has an illness, and I'm pretty sure what this line is indicating is that she's not going to play. So you have to deal with that as far as what's going on with this line here. It makes it look almost too easy to take Dallas, and the money is seemingly coming in on Connecticut. But when you have a star player out, that first game that they're out, it's the injured player spot, basically, or the ill player spot in this case. You got to think Dallas will actually show up and step it up a little bit. So my opinion would be that the line probably moved a little bit too much. I can move 5-6 points off of that news. It seems to me like there's just value in taking Dallas plus the points at home in this one. Although it seems like the public, if they're playing this game, kind of think that way too. But again, for me, it's that injured player theory spot where the team knows their star player is out. They have to step it up in that first game without that player. As far as the scheduling is concerned, Dallas has lost 5 games in a row. They're staying at home, so it's not really a terrible spot for them to maybe bounce back from all that. Connecticut is particularly terrible on the road with only 3 wins on the road. And Connecticut's playing a third straight road game, and they just played New York to within 2 points, man. So that also has me leaning to Dallas here. Connecticut's coming off this big game. I don't know why ESPN changed their font, by the way, on these scores. It looks really bizarre. Connecticut, I was a 13.5 point underdog in this game, man, and they were pretty much out of the game by the end of it, but they were winning in the second half. The game wasn't out of reach, and they wound up losing the game by 2 in the end. So that's going to be, I think that sets up a hangover spot for Connecticut, man, because they know they're not making the playoffs. This is a huge game for them where they stepped it up. And the Liberty, they were not in a good spot, man. They were coming off that big game against Atlanta that they lost and fell out of first place. So they were, I think, hungover coming into that game. So you can kind of explain what happened in that game. So really, for me, everything points to Dallas in this game for me pretty much. But I'm not going to recommend it as a play. I mean, the money seems to be coming in and disagreeing with it. But I think it's injured player spot plus Connecticut in a hangover spot. Multiple games in a row on the road. I would say, yeah, you probably want to look towards Dallas in that one. JC, what's up, man? Curtis, I hope you're all right, man. I don't know if you're referring to your own week or mine. I thought you were referring to all my the Twitter mayhem that's been going on with me there. Actually, let me look at one thing real quick with Connecticut here because I want to see how crowded their schedule has been recently as well. Because I decided I'm not going to give out a play on this, so I didn't really look. But they're playing, yeah, so they have games off in between all these games. They're playing a third game in 5 days or whatever, not in 4 days, but that's still not that easy. We have baseball today. We have a full baseball card today, or full baseball board today. I got 2 plays I'll give out here. We do have afternoon games, 4 afternoon games, because some of these teams are traveling after today. Probably means those teams, I would guess, might have tomorrow off, because some teams do get Thursday off. One game, the first game up, 1:05 p.m. Eastern, MLB Network, is Washington and the Yankees. Yankees on the verge of a sweep here potentially, but does that mean they're going to overlook Washington because they've dominated the first 2 games of the series? Although I said Yankees team total in the first games of the series, and I think they went over the first game and didn't go over yesterday. Yankees do actually play the White Sox tomorrow, although that's not really a look-ahead spot. Like, if the Yankees are playing a better team tomorrow, you might say they have more of a tendency to overlook Washington here because they have a big game up next. That's not really the case here, but they still might overlook them because it's been a dominant series for the Yankees. However, Washington does have a terrible bullpen. One of the worst bullpens in baseball. So they definitely have the worst of the two bullpens, even though the Yankees isn't that good. Yankees fairly rested bullpen. Yesterday they used 4 guys, but the day before that they hardly used anybody. That sucks, Curtis. You got to try to get some sleep, man. Hopefully you don't have to work that much, man, because stress plus lack of sleep can definitely make you sick, man. Get better, man. For the starting pitching matchup here, and obviously the Yankees have the way better offense here as well. Starting pitching matchup, you got to favor the Yankees in that aspect of this game too. Cade Cavalli is pitching for Washington. He's a young guy. I mean, he's been around for a little bit. I think he does have some stats prior to this year in the majors that aren't very good. This year he's been okay. 2.82 ERA, although 1.34 whip is not that good. He's been bad on the road, 5.73 ERA on the road. Only has made 4 starts so far. And if you look at his starts just on the stat lines here, they weren't really that bad. He's got an 18-6 strikeout walk ratio overall, which tells you his command is pretty good. One of his starts on the road was at Philly, and he still held them to 3 earned runs in 6 innings. So that's a pretty good start from him. His worst start was actually against Kansas City. He walked 3 guys, gave up 4 earned runs against a weak offense in that really a pitcher-friendly stadium there. So that's not a great sign, but his starts against Philly were a pretty good sign. And the fact that it was 2 starts, and the start that he did worse in was facing Philly again right away after Philly had just seen him, so Philly was way more familiar with him. He actually pitched decently in that game, like I said, so maybe Cavalli is not that bad. The Yankees have never seen him before, so he might have a little bit of an extra advantage there facing a lineup that hasn't seen him before, so Cavalli might actually do okay in this one. Max Fried is pitching for the Yankees. Good season for him. 3.14 ERA, 1.12 whip, 2.44 ERA at home, so he's good at home. However, the last couple of months, he really kind of fell off with a 5.54 ERA in July and a 6.43 ERA in August, so not having good months over the past 2 months. However, his most recent start was a 6-inning shutout against the Red Sox, which the Red Sox wound up winning the game anyway, 1-0, because I think that was Fried against Bello, and Bello actually pretty much just went toe-to-toe with them in that game. Crazy to think about. Fried did walk 3 guys in that game, but he had 7 strikeouts, 4 hits allowed. It was a good start from him against a good offense in the Red Sox, so maybe that does mean that Fried is getting back into form here, and maybe for the late stretch, maybe he's going to be better again, which I hope not as a Red Sox fan, but Fried might pitch well again. One issue with Fried in this game, though, is that the Nationals are very familiar with him because he was on the Braves, so he was in their division. They got 81 at-bats against him. He does have a 20-4 strikeout walk ratio against him, which is good. Against them, I should say. 272 batting average allowed, 701 OPS, so not bad numbers for Fried against Washington, but not dominant numbers either. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, you could kind of see an argument maybe for taking a Washington run line in the first 5 innings. I mean, I would not want anything to do with them later in the game. The money line went up from minus 255 to minus 270 on the Yankees, 77% of tickets, 89% of the cash on them. So the money's coming in on the Yankees. Total, 64% of tickets on the over, 70% of the cash on the over, but it flipped to 8.5 juice to the under. It's interesting, man. I mean, this is a very difficult game to handicap again. I mean, I could see an argument for a first 5 inning under as well here. Don't want to factor in the bullpens if you want to go under here. You want to go first 5 only. But I could see, the unfamiliarity of Cavalli against Fried being good and maybe back in form. Might have this game being a little bit low scoring in the first 5 innings as well. So maybe something like that might be the best approach in that game. Atlanta at Miami, another afternoon game here. These teams have split the first 2 games of the series. Miami getting obliterated 11-2 last night. Maybe that means they want to bounce back from that. I mean, it's kind of an embarrassing loss for Miami there. These teams are pretty similar in bullpen and in offense. They're both very close. We had 3 relievers enter the game from Miami yesterday, 4 for Atlanta. Atlanta had a pretty good rest scenario in their bullpen up until then recently. So the bullpen scenario, pretty much a wash, even including the rest. Starting pitching, I think probably got to give the edge to Atlanta, but I don't really trust either of these starters. Joey Wentz pitching for the Braves, and unless he has that woman umpire who thinks he's hot or whatever and gives him all the calls, which screwed me on whatever that play was that I had. I think I had an over in that game, and it lost by like 1 run or something because Wentz was basically unhittable in that game. Unless that's happening again, I don't know if he's going to do that well here. I mean, his numbers on the season are not good. 5.25 ERA, 1.47 whip. He is better on the road, though. 3.32 road ERA. Not really in good form right now with a 5.85 ERA this month, and more damning is a 13-8 strikeout walk ratio and multiple walks in 4 of his last 5 outings. That's not a good sign. He did pitch against Miami on August 10th, so they're recently familiar with him. Held them to 1 earned run in 5 1/3 innings, but he did walk 3 guys and only struck out 2. So, again, not really good command numbers for Wentz here. I mean, he's not really a good strikeout pitcher, but his walk numbers are a bit high. His last outing was really rough against the Mets. 6 earned runs allowed. This was at home. 3 1/3 innings pitched, 9 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. So, again, not in good recent form. Against Miami, his numbers are pretty good. In 27 at-bats, 222 average allowed, and 596 OPS, 3.3 strikeout walk ratio. Again, not really that good, though. Not many strikeouts. And again, he did just face Miami. He did okay in that start, but because they just saw him, they're more recently familiar with him now, so he might not do as well this time out. Ryan Gusto is pitching for the Marlins, and he's so great that Houston, who's in the middle of a playoff run, or run probably to get into the playoffs, they got rid of Gusto right before the trade deadline. They did not want to go for the Gusto. I mean, he's not very good. He's got a 5.05 ERA, 1.4 whip this year, not good. Really bad home numbers, a 6 ERA at home, although that includes him being with Houston. It does include 1 appearance with Miami so far. With Miami, he's 0-2 in his 2 starts. Did go 6 innings in each of them, which is all right, but he allowed 8 earned runs. He has a 6 ERA over that span. 8-3 strikeout walk ratio is not that bad, so he's not walking that many guys, but he's given up hard contact, although he hasn't really allowed that many hits. Fewer hits than innings pitched, so you could argue really that he got a little bit unlucky in allowing that amount of runs. Allowed 5 last time out in his home outing against Toronto. He did face Atlanta the start before that and held them to 3 earned runs in 6 innings with 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. So he did well in that game, but then he had no strikeouts in the game against Toronto. So that is a bad sign that he wasn't fooling hitters. His command wasn't necessarily that good in that one. So to me, I don't think Gusto's going to do that well. And again, Atlanta just saw him, so now they're recently familiar with him. They only have 22 at-bats against him. Of course, he did well in that start, so he's held him to a 182 average, 477 OPS, 8-2 strikeout walk ratio. But when you're dealing with 2 pitchers, basically their only starts against these 2 opposing offenses were the last start, which was only a couple weeks ago. The offenses know what these guys are throwing, so I actually think an over is probably the way to look. I know it's a Wentz over again here where you might get screwed. Hopefully that woman umpire is not out there. But it looks like the money's coming in that way. It's the total's up from 8.5 to 8.5 with juice on the over. 75% of tickets, 81% of the cash on the over. That is the way I would lean there. Atlanta, it does have 65% of tickets, 87% of the cash as a road favorite, a -118, which again, them being a road favorite looks bizarre because, of course, Atlanta has a worse record than Miami does. But the odds makers are telling you, look at their run differential and stuff. Atlanta is actually the better of these 2 teams. I do agree with that. But, again, you got to take into account what the matchup is. I still think the better way to do this is the over because I just don't see how you could really put your faith in either of these starters. The bullpens aren't terrific either. So that's the way that I would look in that game. I would probably slightly agree with the lean on Atlanta as well, but not going to be anything that I would want to actually do as far as that's concerned. But I would actually trust Wentz over Gusto. As bad as that sounds, I would not go for the Gusto. But again, I think over is the better way to look at that game. Tampa at Cleveland. Cleveland won yesterday after they got... So this has been a series of opposing shutouts as Cleveland had been shut out 3 games in a row, including the first game of this series. Then they returned the favor and shut out Tampa last night. So it's been a wild run for Cleveland here, but their offense is really, really struggling right now. Tampa has the better offense of the 2. I would say Tampa... does Tampa even have the better bullpen of them now? I don't even know at this point. Where are they at? Cleveland's at 14th. Oh, no, wait, sorry. ERA-wise, actually, Cleveland's is good. Cleveland is fourth in bullpen ERA. I forgot about that. They're actually the better of these two bullpens, as ridiculous as that sounds. Tampa is eighth. So I guess Cleveland has the bullpen edge, although that included some of their better relievers back before they got suspended for gambling. Cleveland has a lot of rest in their bullpen right now, though, so that's a decent sign for Cleveland. Their bullpen is rested. Tampa Bay, a lot of rest in their bullpen as well. So the bullpen scenario is pretty good for both teams here. Starting pitchers, I actually kind of like the starting pitchers in this one too. Drew Rasmussen is pitching for the Rays. Really good season, 2.62 ERA, 0.99 whip. Sub 1 whip is excellent, man. He's slightly worse on the road, 2.68 ERA. Very similar, though, and it's kind of crazy to think that would be the case because at his home stadium, Steinbrenner Field, the spring training stadium, it's a very hitter-friendly park. So the fact that he pitches well there is interesting. With Rasmussen, it's an interesting case, man, where he's very efficient with his pitches for the most part. And the Rays, they do a lot of like weird bullpen and pitching management here. They're actually limiting his pitch count. They're letting him go around 80 or so pitches, 75 or so pitches an outing, and he basically gets them through like 6 innings fairly consistently, which is pretty good. But they did let him go longer than that. He went 91 pitches last time out in a big game against the Yankees. Tampa wound up losing the game, although it wasn't Rasmussen's fault. He gave up 2 earned runs to them in 6 innings. Pretty good, both on solo home runs. 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, 5 hits in that outing. Over all of his outings this month, he's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs, and that stretch actually goes back through last month. Of the last month, he made some really shortened appearances because they were getting him ready to pitch in the All-Star game, I suppose. But 2 of his last 5 starts have been against the Yankees, and he held them to 2 runs in both of them, both on the road and at home. So Rasmussen, he's the real deal. I mean, he's pitching well. 21-2 strikeout walk ratio this month, 1.16 ERA. Very good stuff, and that includes games at the A's, a game against the Dodgers as well. So these have not been easy starts for him, and he still pitched well in every single one of them. So yeah, he's good. My one concern maybe is that they let him go 91 pitches in a big game against the Yankees last time out. So that could be a little bit of an issue, although last time he faced the Yankees, he pitched pretty well again after that against the Dodgers. But again, he is coming off a big game where he threw more pitches than he usually does, but he is also stepping way down in class to face this very bad Cleveland offense. They only have 9 at-bats against Rasmussen. They're only 2 for 9 with no extra base hits, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk, 222 average, easy math there, and 522 OPS. So Rasmussen, pretty unfamiliar to Cleveland, does have good numbers against them when he has faced them. Generally, yeah, I expect him to do pretty well in this game. I don't really think it's going to be like a hangover from that Yankees game. Plus, they're limiting his pitch count so much that they're making sure that they don't wear him out. Although they're not going to make the playoffs anymore here, so maybe they're just unleashing him a little bit more now. But so both of these teams are out of it, by the way. I forgot to mention all that. The Yankees, of course, are playing to try to make sure they make the playoffs. Atlanta, Miami are out of it. Washington's out of it. Tampa Bay, Cleveland, all out of it. So then it's like, well, where does the motivation lie? You got to try to kind of gauge that. Although any team that's playing the Yankees is generally going to still get up for that game. And teams like this, I mean, you're still playing for something. I mean, you don't want to lose intentionally or anything like that. Cleveland has Slate Ciccone pitching. He's a young guy with a pretty good amount of upside, although his numbers are not terrific this year, but they're not awful. 4.41 ERA, 1.28 whip, which I think has been his first season with Cleveland. I think it's been kind of a shortened season for him. He has a 5.48 ERA at home, though, which is not particularly good, obviously. This month, he hasn't been good either, with a 6.86 ERA. 16-4 strikeout walk ratio is good, though, so his command numbers have actually still been good, but he's been getting lit up by the home run ball. He's allowed 6 home runs this month and failed to go 5 innings in 2 starts against the White Sox and Atlanta, which are not good offenses, so that's not a great sign. He did bounce back a little bit with a good start at Texas last time out. That's a weak offense in a pitcher-friendly park, though, so I don't know if we're ready to say that Ciccone is all the way back here, although the Rays have never faced him before, so he does have an unfamiliarity edge here because he's been in the National League for his entire career. Looking at the market here, the money strongly came in on Tampa. They're up from minus 150 to now minus 115, to minus 157. I don't think there's any way that you can play Tampa at that price now, although I wouldn't disagree with the Tampa side because I do think Rasmussen is the better of the 2 pitchers. The bullpens can kind of just compete with each other, although maybe a first 5 inning Tampa play would make sense. At this point, you got to go run line. if you want Tampa Bay here, though. They have 88% of tickets, 93% of the cash. Looks like one of those plays where the public and the professionals are actually in alignment on the Tampa side. But again, I think at this point, you've probably lost way too much value to try to play Tampa on the side. I think the under might be worth a look, though, but the total on that is plummeting as well from 8 juice to the over all the way to 7 juice to the under. There's no way that I would say that you could take a 6.5 under here, but 7 is a key number in baseball. If you can get the under 7, maybe it's worth a shot on that. Won't be one of my plays, but 66% of tickets on the over and only 59% of the cash on the over. Again, you got Rasmussen, very good pitcher. These offenses aren't that prolific. The bullpens are well rested and they're pretty good. And you got Ciccone, who's at least unfamiliar to Tampa. So I definitely could see this being an under type of game here. So I would not say no if you wanted to do that. I mean, that would probably be my preferred approach in that game, would be an under in that game. But unfortunately, you've lost some value there. I'd much rather go under 7.5 than 7. And if you can get that at up to about minus 120, that might be the better way to go. Again, 7, the key number in baseball, because it's how the teams break the 3-3 tie. The last of the afternoon games, late afternoon, is San Diego at Seattle, which will be in the afternoon Pacific Coast time. Seattle and San Diego have split the first 2 games of the series, both high-scoring games, 9-6 and 7-6. Seattle's bullpen has actually been struggling a bit recently, even though they're generally a pretty good bullpen. They saw some usage yesterday, 4 relievers. San Diego actually used 5, so the bullpen usage is not very good for either side. There's been a lot of bullpen usage. San Diego generally does have the better of the 2 bullpens. Seattle has the better offense. And I think you got to give the starting pitching edge to Seattle in this one. Yu Darvish is pitching for San Diego. He came back from injury, started this season not too long ago. So at least that means he's not overworked yet. But his numbers are a little bit weird, man, because his ERA is not good, 5.36. His whip at 1.1 is good. So his whip is kind of indicating that his ERA should actually probably be better than it is right now. He's been bad on the road, 7.66 ERA on the road, which isn't a great sign, although San Diego, pitcher-friendly park, but so is Seattle. So these San Diego pitchers, maybe they'll adapt better to this this park, although that hasn't been the case so far in the series. The pitching hasn't been good. Darvish, you do have to worry about the fact that 2 of his last 4 starts, he didn't go past 4 innings as well, so that's a little bit alarming. Still, his other 2 starts this month were fairly good. Against San Francisco, weak offense, but against the Dodgers as well, good offense, although that one was at home. But the Dodgers had just seen him the start before that, and he pitched better against them the start after that, although the Dodgers are very familiar with him regardless of whether they've seen him recently or not. But overall, he has a 4.05 ERA and 21-5 strikeout walk ratio this month. So Darvish, his numbers this month, I mean, they're okay. His command numbers are pretty good. Against Seattle, his numbers are pretty good, and 104 at-bats. They've seen a lot of them because I believe he was on Texas for a while, right? So Seattle has seen him, but he's got a 40-3 strikeout walk ratio against them. Very, very good strikeout walk ratio against them. 231 average allowed and 666 OPS allowed. So Darvish has done well against Seattle. He's going up against Brian Wu, who has been really good throughout his career so far. 2.94 ERA, 0.94 whip. Again, one of the guys with a sub-1 whip. He's in the sub-1 whip club, the club 1 whip. Very, very good. 2.28 ERA at home. He's really good at home. He's been really good this month with a 33-5 strikeout walk ratio and 2.08 ERA after he had a couple of iffy starts last month, but his command numbers remained good throughout the last month as well. He's doing really well right now. I mean, he's Woo. He rarely doesn't do well, especially at home. His numbers are good against San Diego in 47 at-bats, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk. He's allowed 3 home runs, which is a little concerning. 2 of them to Tatis, though, so maybe he'll be able to pitch around him. 234 batting average allowed and 676 OPS. Still good. So you know you're going to get a low total in this game, given what the starting pitching matchup is, and Yu Darvish is a name that carries a lot of weight despite what his ERA looks like. Total's actually gone up a little bit to 7.5, heavily juiced to the over. 51% of tickets and 66% of the cash on the over. I mean, I think the argument maybe for the over here would just be that the bullpens are overworked right now, so you might not be able to trust the bullpens. I do think the early portions of this game should probably be low scoring. I think both starting pitchers might duel their way through the first part of this game. So first 5 inning under kind of makes sense to me. But if you can't get better than 3.5, I don't know. I mean, you know me, I don't like that 3.5 number. At under 4, if you can pay not that much for it, maybe you could do that in the first 5. Because again, I would probably not trust the bullpens given how unrested they are right now. And the money seems to be coming in on Seattle, up from -135 to -137. 66% of tickets, 84% of the cash coming in on them. Both these teams have a lot to play for. They're both in second place in their divisions in very close divisional races right now. So they're both going to show up here. But yeah, the money seems to be coming in on Seattle. I don't really disagree with that either. I mean, I think Wu is the more trustworthy over Darvish right now, but just based on Darvish being a bit erratic right now, Wu is definitely way more consistent. Again, if you want to go with Seattle, maybe you limit it to first 5 innings because I do think San Diego still has a bullpen edge. All right, now we get into the evening slate here, which one of my plays will be coming up. My plays are both on the evening card. Boston at Baltimore, my Red Sox at Baltimore. Red Sox getting a little bit of revenge for getting swept in a 2-game series in Fenway against Baltimore not too long ago. Baltimore has lost both of these games this series to the Red Sox so far. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games. Baltimore not playing well right now. By the way, I did give out Baltimore in that one game that they won, so yay to me. This series, I mean, the market read has kind of been on Baltimore in the series, but they haven't gotten it done, and they got shut out yesterday, 5-0, even though Bradish was really good in his return. I was worried because his AAA numbers weren't that good, because I said I leaned to the under in that game yesterday, and it did wind up going under, of course. Of course, one of my leans, which wasn't one of my plays, winds up not getting there. How awesome is that? Bullpen-wise, Red Sox have the better bullpen. They have the better offense as well. They're the better team, obviously. Bullpen rest-wise, the Red Sox actually have more rest as well. They only used Wilson out of the bullpen yesterday. So the Red Sox have a lot of advantages in this game. And I think you got to give them a starting pitching edge, too, because Baltimore's basically going with a bullpen game here. Red Sox are going with Brian Bayo, who... he's a guy that I was knocking for basically his entire Red Sox tenure because he was always putting way too many guys on base. But I think they figured out something with his mechanics. I think the fact that his wife and his baby finally were able to enter the U.S., the only pro-immigration stance I will ever take, help out the Red Sox, the Red Sox foreign players since they were able to enter the country. I think that's helped his mental state as well. I mean, he was a guy that really he was just getting in his own head way too much. I think that's not happening anymore either. His numbers are good this year, 3.07 ERA. I mean, even his whip is not that bad at this point, 1.22. Almost the same exact ERA home and away. He's been good recently, of course. Over the last couple of months, his numbers have been way better. His command numbers way better. His ERA was good the entire season. He was like getting himself out of jams early in the season, even when he wasn't pitching well. But now he is. 2.52 ERA this month in 4 starts. 19-5 strikeout walk ratio. Did have one kind of bad start at San Diego. But other than that, he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every start, going all the way back into May. So that does seem like it was more of like a blip on the Bayo radar there, on the Baydar. But maybe you worry a little bit because he's coming off of a really, really good start against the Yankees. And you know how monumental these games against the Yankees are. He shut them out. He dueled Max Fried, shut them out for 7 innings, wound up getting the win in the game. Only gave up 3 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, so his walk numbers have gone way down. Maybe you worry a little bit, though, because that was a huge start for him, but they didn't overwork him, though. He threw 92 pitches, so he was fairly efficient with his pitches in that one. He's thrown over 100 pitches multiple times this year, so not really concerned about that pitch count there, but just how big of a start that was. Maybe he's in for a little bit of a letdown here. His numbers are pretty good against Baltimore, though, in his career. 48 at-bats. 15-4 strikeout walk ratio, 229 batting average allowed, and 684 OPS. He's been pretty good against the Orioles, so maybe he will come out and do well here. Orioles have Dietrich Enns listed as their starter. Z German, I guess. He doesn't have good numbers, 4.97 ERA, 1.52 whip. He is better at home, 4.02 ERA, but he's basically a relief pitcher, man. He was with Detroit, and even though Detroit is in the middle of a playoff race, and of course Baltimore is out of it, he got traded to Baltimore. So you got to think that when a guy gets traded to a team that's not a contender from a contender, you got to think their mental state about that is probably not that great, although he's pitched all right since then. He has a 3.97 ERA. in all relief appearances, I believe, this month. They're all short appearances at the very least with Baltimore. So he is pitching well, but I don't know if we really need to handicap him that much here. Because we pretty much know he's only going to go probably a couple innings in this game. He'll be an opener, and then Baltimore will dip into their bullpen again here. So it's essentially a bullpen game for Baltimore. The Red Sox do at least have more to play for, which is what I was about to say, because they're fighting for playoff positioning, and Baltimore's out of it. Although Baltimore, they'll still show up because it's the Red Sox. I mean, coming into their place, Baltimore will show up for these divisional matchups. But I think you got to give the Red Sox the starting pitching edge still. I mean, it's Bello who's been pitching well against a bullpen game. So the Red Sox have pretty much every edge here, but is the price too costly? The professional money seems to be saying it is, although, as I said, the professional money's been coming in on Baltimore every game in the series, and it has not worked out so far. 74% of tickets, only 53% of the cash on the Red Sox, and they've dropped from minus 155 on the money line to minus 132. So the money has dropped on the Red Sox a bit. So, I mean, there's no way I'd recommend a play on the Red Sox. Looking at that market read, there's just no way. And Bello could be in a bit of a letdown spot. So you got to worry about that a little bit. We'll see what happens, though, man. I mean, I don't really want to recommend a play on Baltimore either because I don't think they really have any matchup edge necessarily in the game. The total's at 9, 50% tickets on the under, 94% of the cash on the under. It's a high total, although the money looks like it's coming in on the under, but the total's got to be high for a reason, man. Bello, even though his numbers are good, seeing a high total there seems to kind of indicate the odds makers do think this will be a higher scoring game, even though Red Sox, Baltimore, all 4 of their recent games have gone under the total, I'm pretty sure. So it's kind of difficult to actually want to play an over here, although I could see the Red Sox getting to this Baltimore bullpen situation they got going on here. I mean, it is possible that maybe you could go Red Sox over their team total in this game. Maybe, but I kind of worry about that because the money's coming in against the Red Sox, so who knows, man. Nate, what's up, man? Yes, I did one last week as well for week 0. The college football show is usually around midnight Friday night, but this week is bizarre because there's a huge board on Thursday, which I hate, for college football. That's tomorrow, so I'm like, does that mean I have to do a show tonight? Because it's like, how am I going to do that plus baseball tomorrow, which I handicap baseball way too thoroughly here, and it's not even going well for me. So I think starting tomorrow, maybe I'll just not handicap baseball as in detail, and I'll give out baseball plays still, and then talk about like the bigger baseball games, maybe something along those lines, because this is just, it just takes way too much time, man. Minnesota, Toronto, I'm going to skip that game. But yeah, college football, there's a chance that I do a show tonight. And maybe I even cover the entirety of week 1 tonight in college football. I don't know, because I haven't really thoroughly handicapped it yet. I do have one play that I probably should have given out already because the line has moved on it. I mean, you guys, you're watching my show, so I'll tell you what it is. I mean, it is Texas plus the points against Ohio State, which is the biggest matchup of the weekend too, but I actually like the Texas side, which I'll break down when I do talk about college football. But you could have gotten a +3 on Texas not that long ago, and now I think the best you can do is like a 1.5. I still think Texas will win the game, but I mean, you'd much rather have the 3-point cushion there than taking fewer points than that. It's obviously a way better number, so you've missed a key number in that one, but I do like the Texas side in that one. Minnesota, Toronto, and actually Philly, New York, as you can see in the title, those are my 2 plays today. They're both going to be on sides, so I will skip those for now. Arizona and the Brewers. Yes, Ohio State, yeah. You like the Milwaukee Bucks? Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with the Bucks, man. And they have a super talented team, and I think they won a championship not that long ago, right? But since then, they've just been massively injured the whole time. They don't have Lillard anymore, right? Because they traded him back to Portland. But I mean, he's an injury-prone man at this point, so I don't even know if that's that much of a loss. They still got Giannis there, and they got some pretty good players on the Bucks still. They got who's that big guy again? Really good player for the Bucks. I don't know why. I have stroke brain. I can't think of anybody's name anymore. He actually was on Bar Rescue not that long ago. Bar Rescue had a Milwaukee episode where they brought that guy in for recon. I can't remember his name. One of the big guys on the Bucks. One of their better players. Yeah. But anyway, yes, college football. I may have a show tonight, so keep an eye out on that. For that, it'll be really late, and it'll either be tonight or it'll be Friday night, or it'll be both. So that's what I can tell you right now. I got to decide what I want to do. I mean, I just make up my schedule as I go, man. And I will be on Jose's show tonight, although it'll be Patreon only at first. We're doing another live reading series. We're going to be reading Chaos Theory with Bob Murphy, so I'm doing plugs in the middle of the show here. Let's just do plugs now. Why not? At least that plug. So No Way Jose, you can be on the lookout for that as well, because people seem to like our Hoppe series that we finished up with Democracy, the God That Failed last week. So we're doing a shorter book this time, Bob Murphy, Chaos Theory. That'll start tonight for Patreons of Jose's, but if you want to wait, you can wait on that, and I think he puts it out like maybe within the next week or so. Arizona at Milwaukee, but we'll record that tonight. I don't think it's live for anybody now, but I think he puts it out to Patreons like immediately. Milwaukee is won the first 2 games of the series, so Milwaukee is on the verge of a sweep here. Will they overlook Arizona because Arizona's out of it? I don't know, but they actually play tomorrow too, so it's not a sweep scenario yet here for Milwaukee. But Milwaukee has something to play for because they're trying to maintain their stranglehold on the division and the 1 seed, while Arizona's definitely out of it. But Arizona, I mean, you got to figure they'll show up. They've lost both games in the series. They're facing a good Milwaukee team here. You know they're going to show up. Milwaukee has the better bullpen, though. Arizona used a lot of their bullpen yesterday as well. So the bullpen usage is heavier on Arizona's side as well. Milwaukee, definitely the better bullpen shape here. Arizona has the better offense, but Milwaukee's is not that far behind. Milwaukee just slightly worse at home, though, offensively. Ryan Nelson pitching for Arizona, interesting, man, because to me, you know if you watch my show, I've been talking about how Ryan Nelson, I don't understand how his numbers look like this year. 3.63 ERA, 1.07 whip at the age of 27. How is that possible when his ERA has been in the 5s and the 4s in his previous couple of seasons? His whip has been basically 1.3 something throughout that span. So how could he possibly be that significantly better? It never made any sense to me. So you know me, man, I'm trying to gauge this stuff, and I'm not going to make any accusations, or am I? But if you watched his last start, he had this huge spot on his visor that he kept touching, and people were like, oh, it's just like liquid, man. Like, well, what liquid? Like, are you supposed to have any substance on your visor like that at all? But it was brown. Like, to me, it looked like pine tar. And you know, if you watch baseball, there's usually like one pine tar incident every year. Like last year, it was Ronel Blanco on Houston, and he was pitching really, really, like inexplicably well. And then he got caught with the pine tar, and where is he now? Who the hell knows? I don't even know where he is. Maybe he's out of baseball now. I think he's injured, but that was, he's one of Houston's pitchers. But to me, it looked like Ryan Nelson had pine tar in his hat, man. It would kind of explain why his numbers have been skewed so much this year to him being way better, and why his numbers are inexplicably way better at home specifically, because maybe he's doing it at home more than he's doing it on the road, because maybe he thinks he can get away with it more. Because why the hell would his numbers be way better at home? I mean, think about this. He pitches in a very hitter-friendly stadium at home at Chase Field. Why would his home ERA be that much better than it is on the road? When look at the teams that he plays on the road in his division. San Francisco, terrible offense, really pitcher-friendly park. San Diego, not a good offense, really pitcher-friendly park. So when he's facing those teams on the road, why would he do that much worse in those parks on the road? It makes absolutely zero sense. Although, yeah, I mean, Coors Field, okay, fine, but Rocky's offense isn't good. So again, it doesn't make any sense unless there's some hidden variable there. So that's what I'll say about Ryan Nelson. Yes, he's bad on the road. Like I said, 5.01 ERA on the road. So if you want to fade him, you're going to probably do better if you fade him on the road, which he is today. This month, 24-4 strikeout walk ratio, really good command numbers, but Arizona lost 3 of his 4 starts. He has a 5.4 ERA this month, so his ERA has been pretty elevated this month, so he hasn't really been in the greatest form. And yes, a couple of those are on the road against Texas. Again, pitcher-friendly park, bad offense, and he did terribly in that start against Texas. So again, what is going on here? And he didn't do particularly well in Coors Field either the last time out. Nelson against the Brewers has really good numbers. Only 27 at-bats. It's not a huge sample size. 9-0 strikeout walk ratio, 148 average allowed, 333 OPS. So he's been good against the Brewers. Again, he faced the Brewers this year at home, only in a 3-inning stint, though, in that game. But he pitched well in that one as well. He allowed 1 earned run, had 3 strikeouts, no walks. So, again, was he doing something back then? I don't know, man. But again, he's on the road here. I'm not sure that I expect him to do particularly well in this particular outing. He's going up against Quinn Priester, who, just based on his numbers, like the analytics guys will tell you, he's worse than Ryan Nelson. 3.44 ERA, 1.26 whip. I mean, yeah, his whip is definitely worse. I agree with that. Normally when I look at stats, I'm looking at the whip. Watch me whip and watch me say nay to a guy who has a high whip. Yeah, but Quinn Priester, yes. I mean, I think he is overperforming, but he's young. So with him, it's more likely that he actually like has an improvement in his career, you know what I mean? Because we haven't seen the best of him yet. Ryan Nelson, I think you've already seen basically his peak, which is what makes it more bizarre. Quinn Priester, 3.79 ERA at home, so he's been a little bit worse at home. But of course, the talk about Quinn Priester is that the Brewers have now won 15 straight outings of his. I accidentally say 15 starts sometimes. In a couple of the outings, he actually came in relief, I'm pretty sure. Priester, I think they had an opener pitch in front of him in a couple of these outings, but they've mostly been full starts for him. But in the games where there was an opener in front of him, he came out and still pitched like 4 or 5 innings immediately after that out of the bullpen. He's pitching well, though a little bit worse this month. 4.29 ERA, 15-9 strikeout walk ratio. That's concerning. The most concerning stuff that we've seen this month, where he gave up 6 earned runs to the Mets, and they still wound up coming back and winning that game. And then he walked 5 guys last outing at the Cubs at Wrigley. Only went 4 1/3 innings, although he held them to 1 earned run. So he somehow got out of some jams in that game, man. Again, he's difficult to beat. I mean, that's just the way that it is. Although Arizona has good numbers off him. It's only in 10 at-bats, though. 400 batting average, 855 OPS, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk. So it's such a small sample size. I don't even know if you can really pay attention, really, for both of these pitchers. So I don't know what you would want to even do with this game. I mean, I saw some market indicators on Arizona as the line initially dropped from -145 to -138 on the Brewers money line. But 72% of tickets, 89% of the cash on the Brewers. So the money seems to be coming in on the Brewers. Again, I think the thought with that is that even though Nelson has the better matchup numbers, he's bad on the road. So you got to factor that into the handicap, man. But it's tough to do that because it's conflicting factors. I try to find factors that all kind of line up. Although my baseball season, I know, hasn't been that good. It's been a losing baseball season for me, I'm pretty sure. And as far as the year is concerned, I'm like slightly below a break-even point, which I know is bad, and mostly because March was unbelievably bad, though. 55% of tickets on the under, 70% of the cash on the over, even though the total is now down to 8.5, juice to the under. But we see cash percentage on the over. I mean, I could kind of see an argument for that, too, just that Nelson bad on the road, 2 good offenses. Don't trust Arizona's bullpen at all. Priester is probably overperforming, so those would probably be the arguments for the over in this one. But that's not going to be a game I'll touch. Kansas City at the White Sox. These teams have split the first 2 games of this series. We're dealing with 2 pretty bad offenses here. We're dealing with Kansas City having a bullpen edge, and they actually have an offensive edge, even though both offenses are bad. But Kansas City used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. I think it was 4. Sometimes I miss it because it's not shaded in a deeper blue when the pitcher only throws like a single-digit pitch count. But the White Sox used a similar amount of their bullpen yesterday, 4 relief pitchers. So Kansas City gets the bullpen edge here. Starting pitching, I think Kansas City actually gets the starting pitching edge too. Kansas City, I guess, technically still fighting to stay alive in the playoff race too. Ryan Berger is pitching for the Royals. They got him from San Diego right before the trade deadline. So San Diego actually was willing to deal him away, even though they're trying to make sure they make the playoffs. Berger having a pretty good season, though. 2.79 ERA, 1.09 whip between his 2 teams. Even better on the road, 2.48 ERA, which is interesting because the 2 teams he's been on have pitcher-friendly ballparks. He's been pretty good since coming over to Kansas City, even though Kansas City's offense is so bad that they're 1-3 in his 4 starts, but not really his fault. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in all of them. 22-6 strikeout walk ratio, 2.82 ERA, so he's been pretty good in those starts, although he hasn't gone more than 5 2/3 innings in any of them, so he's not going deep into the starts. Did have 1 start against the White Sox, so the White Sox are now recently familiar with him because of that, so he did well. He gave up 1 earned run in 5 1/3, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, and 6 hits allowed isn't that terrific, but because the White Sox just saw him, they might do better against him this time out, although, of course, Because he did well that time out, it means his numbers are good against them. They're only 4 for 20 off him. 7-2 strikeout walk ratio, 200 average, 673 OPS. But again, because the White Sox just saw him, and I think that was the first time they saw him, now they know what he throws. They're familiar with him, so you got to expect Berger may not do as well this time out. He's going up against Aaron Savali, who did not get dealt by the White Sox at the trade deadline. He's not having a good season, though. 5.02 ERA, 1.38 whip. He's been really bad at home, 6.38 ERA at home. Not good this month either, 6.97 ERA, 22-9 strikeout walk ratio. It's a lot of strikeouts, but it's a pretty high number of walks as well. He also pitched against Kansas City a couple of starts ago, and he did pretty well in that one, gave up 3 earned runs in 6 innings. That game was at Kansas City. So he did do well in that particular start. His numbers are good against Kansas City and 131 at bats, so they are really familiar with him. 25-8 strikeout walk ratio, 206 batting average allowed, 656 OPS. So Savali does have good matchup numbers. The two pitchers have good matchup numbers, but because they both were recently seen by the opposing offenses, I actually worry a little bit about the pitchers doing well this time. Kansas City is a very public road favorite, up from -120 to -127. 95% of tickets, 90% of the cash on them. So the cash percentage seems to be fading them. It seems like the professional money sees a little bit of value taking the White Sox. I'm not really sure I would agree with that. I think Berger, even though he might regress a little bit off of his last start, he's still probably the better pitcher than Savali. He's in better form right now, at least. But the money coming in on the over, 64% of tickets on the over, 97% of the cash on the over. Total kind of just sitting 8.5 juice to the over. If you want the over, I mean, I just worry that the offense is stinking, that Kansas City's bullpen is at least pretty capable. You got to kind of, I mean, if you want the over, you're going to need both starting pitchers to actually do badly in this game, and I'm not quite sure that that's going to happen. So I would stay away, though the argument for that would be that both offenses just saw these starting pitchers. Pittsburgh is at St. Louis. St. Louis, these two teams split the first 2 games of the series, and Contreras for the Cardinals now is facing a 6-game suspension because he got angry. He got ejected from, I think, last night's game, and the suspension is because he threw his bat, and the bat, I guess, hit the St. Louis pitching coach. So he threw his bat. I don't think he did that. I don't think he was trying to hit anybody intentionally with the bat throw, but obviously he got really angry and reckless and just chucked his bat, and I think it either hit or almost hit his own pitching coach or something like that. Well, actually, pitching coach wouldn't make any sense, right? Why would the pitching coach be in the dugout? It hit one of their coaches, maybe the hitting coach, I don't know, or it almost hit him, whatever it was. That's the reason why he's facing a suspension, although I think he will still be there tonight because he's appealing it, but I don't know if that means he's going to be out of the lineup tonight. I'm not sure. So that's part of the handicap here. At least he factors into St. Louis's offense, although how much does he factor in? I don't know. And I guess he also threw chewing gum, which I guess he can't do, which makes no sense, right? I mean, in baseball, you picture guys spitting seeds and tobacco, sunflower seeds, whatever, and spitting gum out in the dugout and whatever. So that just seems normal to me. So I don't know what the thing with the gum was. I think it was mostly the bat. As far as this game, though, both offenses are bad. St. Louis does have the better offense, but they've been struggling a bit recently. St. Louis has the better bullpen. Although, yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh, their bullpen's fairly rested here. Their bullpen's not awful. Pittsburgh's really bad offensively, though. But St. Louis's offense, if Contreras isn't in the lineup, will take a little bit of a step back. Pittsburgh has Carmen Mlodzinski listed as a starter. I mean, he's basically a converted reliever. He's not great. 3.89 ERA is pretty good, but 1.3 whip, getting a little bit on the high side. He's pretty bad on the road, 5.1 ERA on the road. Again, he's not going deep into any of these outings, though. His numbers this month are actually good. 1.84 ERA, 18-3 strikeout walk ratio. But he's not making deep outings, right? Like he's going 2, 3, 4 innings. Hard to gauge what you're going to get out of him. I mean, on average, you're probably going to get about 3 or so innings maybe out of him in this start would be my guess. He does have good numbers against St. Louis, though. They're only 6 for 43 off him with 16 strikeouts, 2 walks. So he's held them down when he's faced them. 140 average allowed, 387 OPS. So Mlodzinski might be good while he's in there, but he's probably not going to be in there that long, like I said. So you got to worry about Pittsburgh's bullpen coming in after that. Contreras is still listed as being in their lineup, but he is only 1 for 7 off Mlodzinski. But again, Pittsburgh will be going with their bullpen after that, and St. Louis has their more consistent starter on the mound. Well, I wouldn't say he's consistent, but he's at least the more proven starter, let's say. Let's put it that way, with Sonny Gray on the mound. 4.33 ERA, though. I mean, he's been getting worse. He's wearing down. I think he's kind of an older dude now. He's been good throughout his career, but I think he's just not as good now as he was earlier in the season because he's tiring out. 4.33 ERA, even though he's a veteran, you'd think he'd be used to it, but his ERA has gone way up. 1.2 whip is not really that good at this point either. His numbers have been getting worse, although he is better at home. 3.76 ERA at home. This month, I mean, his numbers really aren't actually that bad this month. 28-5 strikeout walk ratio. Again, he continues to have a good strikeout walk ratio, but he gets bombed by a bunch of home runs. Last month, he was allowing a ton of hits, although that's not really happening this month. His ERA is 4.13 this month, and really his only bad start was against the Yankees. So maybe you give him a pass for that because he allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in the other 3 starts, and they were at the Dodgers, against the Cubs, and at Tampa, which is a hitter-friendly ballpark. So he is actually pitching a little bit better this month than prior to that. So maybe he's not wearing out. And he's facing a weak offense in Pittsburgh here. They got 114 at-bats against him, but they don't have a good track record against him. 36-7 strikeout walk ratio, 228 average allowed, 676 OPS allowed. So Gray does have good numbers against Pittsburgh. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I think Gray does have the upper hand in the starting pitching matchup, but I think maybe the under is the better way to look early in this game. I mean, the money's coming in against St. Louis, down from -190 to -165. 84% of tickets, only 63% of the cash. So I don't think there's any way you can play St. Louis on a money line that's this substantial, even though I do think they have the edge in basically all the aspects of this game. But the under's taking money. 55% tickets on the over, 84% of the cash on the under. Total sitting at a very low 7.5 juice to the under. So you do have to worry about that. I worry about the bullpens a little bit, although at least Pittsburgh's is rested and they're not that bad. So if you wanted to go full game under, maybe that is still the best way to go with this game. And even though Pittsburgh's bullpen will be in the game, which does definitely worry me. Certainly not going to give it out as a play, but again, that might be the way to go. Odds makers are telling you something with a total this low, and there's no way you're going to find better than like a 3.5 in the first 5 innings here. The bullpens aren't like bullpens that you totally want to fade just every single game, so maybe that's the way to look at that game. Anaheim and Texas, of course, Anaheim let me down yesterday. Texas lost the first game of the series, won yesterday, of course. So the teams have split this series. By the way, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, both completely out of the race there, so something to take into account. Texas, I think, is still technically fighting to try to do something this season, but they're like on the verge of basically being eliminated, and losing 2 games ago might not have helped, but they did win last night. Anaheim is definitely out of it, and Anaheim actually has a worse run differential than Texas does, even though Anaheim has a better offense. Texas' offense very weak, especially at home, but Texas has maybe the best pitching in all of baseball, which is keeping them afloat, and they actually have a better run differential than Anaheim significantly, even though Anaheim, their record isn't that much worse than Texas's. Anaheim has allowed a lot more runs than they've scored this season compared to what Texas has done. The bullpen scenario, Texas only used 1 guy in relief yesterday, so Texas' bullpen, big advantage here, even though Texas is at an offensive disadvantage. Pitching matters more, in my opinion. Anaheim's bullpen is less rested, and their bullpen is worse. The starting pitching matchup in this game is just atrocious, though. Jack Kohanowitz is coming back for Anaheim here. I think he's been up and down between the majors and the minors. I mean, his numbers are not cutting it at the major league level, man. 6.19 ERA, 1.69 whip. That's not good. His ERA is almost exactly the same, both home and away. He did make 2 starts earlier this month, and they sent him back down after he had an 11 ERA across those 2 starts. 3 strikeouts, 4 walks. Really, really bad numbers. Last time out only lasted 3 innings against Detroit and still threw 84 pitches, so he's inefficient with his pitches as well. He's not even a strikeout guy. He walks too many guys. Not anything good to say about Kohanowitz, man. The best thing I can say about him is that he's tall. That's the only thing I could give you. I'll give you one other thing. He's actually good against Texas for the most part. In 65 at bats, 231 average allowed, 678 OPS. Not bad numbers for him against them. 5-9 strikeout walk ratio is not good though. So again, not a good strikeout walk ratio, man. Not enough strikeouts. A few too many walks. I don't know what we're going to get out of him in this game, man, to be honest, but at least it's not the worst matchup for him. He's going up against Jacob Latz for the Rangers. Latz, 3.05 ERA, 1.29 whip for them. His whip is a little bit too high, but he's basically a relief pitcher. He is better at home, 2.52 ERA. He's pretty much made just shortened appearances almost every time this season, but he did make one 5-inning appearance against Detroit, and he only gave up one earned run in that outing. So that was actually almost a full start for him, and he did well there. And he actually went 6 innings against Baltimore in what was basically a full start at one point. Only gave up 2 earned runs in that outing. So he actually did fairly well in the 2 full starts that he's made. I don't know if he's going to do it here, though, or not. He actually missed about a month's time, and then he came back, went 3 1/3 innings against the Royals and shut them out over that span. So he did well in that outing as well. 4 strikeouts, 1 walk in that outing. His only outing this month so far, gave up 1 hit. So he's in pretty good form right now, at least. Difficult to gauge what you're going to get out of him, like how long he's going to last in this game. My guess would be maybe about 4 innings is maybe what you can expect out of him in this game. And then Texas's bullpen is rested, and they are pretty good. So maybe it's not that bad of a thing. He's been good against Anaheim. It's only 14 at-bats worth, but 1 hit against them that he's allowed, although it's a home run from Darno, but he also has 8 strikeouts against them and 1 walk, 0.71 average, 419 OPS, so Latz has basically dominated. Maybe he has nice lats, man. Maybe he works those things out, but he's basically dominated Anaheim. So I think you probably have to lean to Texas in this game. I think they have the better of the matchup, the pitching matchup basically across the board, although they've dropped from -160 to -151. 92% of tickets, 98% of the cash coming into them. So they're public, but it does look like the cash coming in on their side as well. I mean, if you want Texas, that means you probably have to go with oh my God, you'd have to maybe go with the run line on them, but it's so difficult to go with the Texas run line at home, or they might not bat in the 9th inning. They're notoriously low scoring at home, so it's very difficult to do that, although the total's pretty high. It's gone down from 9.5 to 9. 69% of tickets, 72% of the cash on the over, so the money, it does actually seem like it's coming in slightly on the over, though. I mean, that move downward on the total wasn't really that significant. If you do like the over, you got to make sure you go over 9 and not 9.5, though, because 9 is the key number there. I mean, I could definitely see Kohanowitz giving up some runs here. So maybe the way to do it, because Kohanowitz is bad, Anaheim's bullpen is bad, maybe you go Texas over their team total in this game, but still Texas is so low scoring at home. That's really a difficult proposition as well. So this is a very difficult game to want to put your money on, man, because it seems like the way that the game will work out is something that's against, what's been happening most of the season. Colorado at Houston. My opinion on this is that Houston probably should bounce back. I mean, they returned home yesterday from a road trip, and returning home from a road trip is not a good situation. They lost a win streak in the previous game, so they lost yesterday. And teams, when they return home from a road trip, sometimes they get caught in a distracted spot. I don't think they took Colorado seriously, but when you get embarrassed in your first game back, the second game you usually do a lot better because you realize, oh shit, we need to refocus here. You're basically done with doing whatever you had to do back at home, so you tend to refocus. And Houston, of course, unlike Colorado, Houston is really in a heated battle here. They're trying to maintain their lead in the AL West. They're trying to make sure they get the best playoff scenario that they can here. So I think Houston is in a situational bounce back here. But looking at the matchup and looking at the market, the market seems to disagree with it. The matchup doesn't really seem to indicate otherwise, but the market seems to disagree with this. Houston, we know they have the better offense because Colorado's offense is pathetic. Houston has the better bullpen as well. Very rested bullpen because they didn't play yesterday. I don't think either of these teams did. But Houston only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday and 2 3 days ago. Colorado also didn't play on Monday, but they used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Houston obviously has a bullpen edge here. Actually, let me see if is Kimbrel there with Houston now? He is. He actually pitched. Apparently, he pitched on Sunday. Hilarious that they picked him up, man, because they got some injuries, man. Rooney is injured now, and then they have Hader might not even come back, man. I don't know if he's going to be ready for the playoffs or not, but he was their closer. So, but still, Houston's bullpen is pretty good. Colorado has Chase Dollander on the mound, who is a talented young arm, but hasn't worked out for him. I mean, they basically threw him right into the fire, man. You got to pitch in Coors Field as a young pitcher. That's difficult. His numbers are bad this year, though. 6.91 ERA, 1.63 whip. He's in good on the road, though. 3.95 ERA on the road. So when you get him away from Coors Field, he does pitch significantly better. He's been bad this month, though. 8.1 ERA, 16-7 strikeout walk ratio. He was bad in both home starts, though. So, again, he had one road start where he only gave up one earned run against St. Louis. So, again, he is significantly better on the road. So, maybe you got to look at it that way. His home road splits so crazy. Against Houston, those numbers are bad. In 12 at-bats, they're 8 for 12 off him. A home run from Caratini, 1 walk, no strikeouts, 666 batting average allowed, 1,609 OPS, so really bad numbers, but that start was, of course, in Coors Field when he faced them, but that does mean that Houston is familiar with him now. So Houston might be able to unload on him in this game as well. Houston has the more trustworthy pitcher here with Framber Valdez, 3.32 ERA, 1.21 whip. I know he's been worse recently, though. He's in bad recent form, although he's much better at home, 1.85 ERA at home. Recent form, like I said, has been bad this month, really bad, actually. 7.33 ERA, 12-10 strikeout walk ratio. That's atrocious, but the 3 bad starts were road starts against the Red Sox, the Yankees, and Detroit. So, I mean, yeah, if you're a good pitcher, you should be able to do better in those starts than he did. But, I mean, he was facing some really good offenses all on the road there. And now he's coming back home to face a much, much weaker offense. So he should do better here. Valdez, remember, Houston had won about 12 starts in a row of his up into late July. And then once he got knocked off in a good start against Washington, but his team gave him no run support, and they lost the game despite him only allowing 1 earned run. Since then, they've lost every one of his starts, and he's just been thrown off a bit. But at some point, I think he's going to bounce back. Maybe it'll happen here. 14 at-bats against Colorado, so they've only seen him once. 4 strikeouts, no walks, 214 average, 643 OPS. A home run from Farmer, but Valdez has done pretty well against Colorado. The only time he faced them looks like it wasn't even this year, so Colorado's not recently familiar with him. I guess he didn't pitch in that Coors Field series, it looks like, so interesting. So I think Valdez does have some matchup edges in this game, but the money's coming in against Houston, although maybe some of that is a function of how heavy a favorite they are. Down from -325 to -285, 82% of tickets, 68% of the cash on them. I still expect Houston bounces back and wins this game, but if you like Houston, I mean, you're laying way too much of a price here. Interestingly, I actually think the under may be worth a look in this game. Maybe just in the first 5 innings, but 86% of tickets, 92% of the cash on the over. Totals dropped from 8 to 8 juice to the under. Again, if you think Valdez is going to pitch a little bit better, and because Dollander is just so much better on the road, even though Houston, I worry because Houston is recently familiar with him now, so that is a strike against him. And his overall numbers are bad, but he's so much better on the road. I could see this game being a bit low scoring earlier in the game, so maybe first 5 under is actually the way to look at that game. And then just don't include Colorado's bullpen in that equation. Cincinnati at the Dodgers. Man, I got to get through all these games. Dodgers on the verge of maybe sweeping Cincinnati here. I don't know who they have up next, or is this game a 4-game series? No, they have Arizona next after they get tomorrow off, so that is a divisional series. Does that mean it's going to be a look ahead for the Dodgers? I'm not so sure, although the Dodgers are fighting to maintain the lead in the NL West. Cincinnati's fighting to try to even make the last wild card, as the Reds are like right on the Mets' heels as far as the last wild card. So those two teams have to show up and play as well. Cincinnati has the better of these two bullpens, but the rest scenario isn't that great for them. They've used a little bit more of their bullpen recently. Or actually, the Dodgers used more yesterday, though. The Dodgers were rested up until yesterday. Cincinnati actually used fewer relievers yesterday, so maybe that kind of evens it out. So Cincinnati maybe has the bullpen edge once again here. Dodgers have the offensive edge. That's pretty obvious. Cincinnati's got Nick Lodolo pitching, the guy I talked about yesterday because he got a blister on his finger when he was facing the Cubs, and he hasn't been back since then. So he was on the injured list with that, and now he's finally coming back, interestingly, because I mentioned him yesterday. Because Nick Martinez came in relief in that start where he had to leave with the blister. He's got a 3.05 ERA, 1.03 whip this season. So Lodolo's been good, and he's been even better on the road away from Great American, which is a hitter-friendly park. He has a 2.18 ERA on the road. Again, he was off to a good start in that Cubs start, too. Had shut them out for 1 2/3 and then had to leave the game with that blister on his finger. Very unfortunate for him. He's now coming back. His numbers against the Dodgers are mediocre in 27 at-bats. He has a pretty good 12-3 strikeout-walk ratio. They have good contact numbers against him, 296 average, but they've not hit him for power. A 663 OPS. So Lodolo does have decent numbers, I would say, against the Dodgers. He's going up against Shohei Ohtani, who actually hasn't been pitching that well this month. He started off well. I mean, he's been a good pitcher throughout his career, but remember, he hasn't pitched for multiple seasons now because he had that, I think he had an arm injury or something, and based on what his rehab was, he was able to come back and hit way sooner than he was able to pitch. And the Dodgers have been trying to ramp up his pitching again to where he's a full-fledged starter again. But he started to struggle recently. He was pitching well for a while, but now his ERA is up to 4.61, 1.28 whip. That's not that great. At home, he's been better, 2.54 ERA. But again, his last 2 starts, he's got 9 1/3 innings combined, both on the road, though, against Anaheim and Colorado. So, yeah, it was Coors Field. But he gave up 9 earned runs in that span, which wasn't good. However, he didn't walk anybody. He still had 10 strikeouts in that span as well. So his command numbers are still good. So this month, it's like, what's going on here? He's got a 7.3 ERA, but an 18-0 strikeout walk ratio. So his strikeout rate is still really high. He's not walking anybody, but he gave up too many hits. And maybe he got a little bit unlucky, too, because he's only given him 1 home run over that span. So maybe he will bounce back and do better here. I mean, there are some indicators, mostly his command numbers remaining really excellent, that he should pitch better again here. He does have good numbers when he's faced Cincinnati in the past. He's held him to a 7 for 32 clip, 12 strikeouts, 3 walks, 219 batting average allowed, and 536 OPS allowed. So Ohtani has done pretty well against them. I lean towards him actually, bouncing back in this game. So I think maybe an under is worth a look early in this one. The Dodgers are down from -200 to -193 on the money line. Of course, you know they're going to be a heavy favorite. 74% of tickets, 87% of the cash coming in on them. Probably not the way that I really want to look here. I think first 5 under is actually the way to look. And Cincinnati still does have the better bullpen. 76% of tickets, 92% of the cash on the over, but the total did drop a little from 8.5 to 8 juice to the over. I know the cash seems to be coming in on the over, but I think isolate the starting pitchers. Ohtani, he hasn't gone 5 innings yet in any of his starts, but he's gone more than 4 innings a couple times. So Ohtani should probably get you almost to the 5-inning mark in this game. And Lodolo, I would guess, may very well get you to 5. Lodolo, I mean, he's a bit of a veteran at this point, too. So coming back from a quick DL stint or whatever shouldn't really affect him. I think he should be ready to go, and he should be pumped, actually, to rejoin the starting rotation. When that happens, especially when it's a veteran, sometimes the team rallies around him and they know they have to play well, get pumped up for their starter coming back. So I think Cincinnati is in that spot. So, I mean, I would actually slightly lean to Cincinnati on the run line here. But again, I think under first 5 innings is probably the better way to look at that game. Cubs at San Francisco. I know we lost this one too yesterday. San Francisco, I thought they were in a bad spot, returning home from a road trip. They've won 3 games in a row, big games, even though San Francisco pretty much knows they're out of it now. The Cubs need to win games, man. The Cubs are trying to make sure they make the playoffs here. They're in a wild card spot right now, but they want to at least keep it that way, if not try to contend for the division again here. Cubs may want to, they may be trying, I mean, they're going to be trying to bounce back here, but I don't know that I love the matchup for the Cubs in this one, man. San Francisco does have the better of the 2 bullpens. They didn't use too much of them the last 2 days, so the bullpen usage is pretty low for them. Cubs really had very low usage as well the last 2 days, though. So both bullpens are pretty intact. They're both pretty good. The Cubs have Colin Ray pitching, and he's at least the more established of the 2 pitchers, and he's had a decent season. 3.96 ERA, 1.29 whip. He is an older dude, though, who isn't really a guy that comes out and blows people away, more of a command pitcher. He's a little bit better on the road, 3.81 road ERA. This month, some of his numbers worry me this month, even though he has a 2.53 ERA. The Cubs have won 3 of his 4 starts, but he has an 18-10 strikeout walk ratio, so his walk rate has gone up, which is a little bit alarming. You don't want a guy coming out and walking that many guys, man. You just can't do it. So he is walking too many guys, but he hasn't allowed too many hits. So there is that aspect of it. So he's pitching. it's hard to say. I mean, he's pitching mediocre, I guess, this month. His numbers against the Giants are actually pretty bad in 30 at-bats. I know it's not a big sample size, but 5.5 strikeout-walk ratio is not good. 400 batting average, 1,186 OPS. So that's actually not good, obviously. So Ray actually has not been very good against the Giants throughout his career. He's going up against Carson Whisenhunt, who is a very young dude, 24 years old. I think this is his first season where he's been in the majors, and he hasn't been that great so far. 4.91 ERA, 1.42 whip. I know he's a guy that doesn't have a hard fastball, but in baseball, Major League Baseball, it's not all about the hard fastball. I mean, the better hitters can all hit hard fastballs. You got to be able to locate. You got to be able to mask your pitches. You got to be able to fool hitters. And the thing about Whisenhunt is he has like a really, really good changeup. But I think he's got to figure out how to use it and how to blend it with his other pitches. His last two starts, after his first two starts, he went five plus innings in both of them. His last two starts, he only went 4 innings in each, but he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in the last 3, which isn't too bad, although his 13-9 strikeout walk ratio is not that good. Again, he's not really a huge strikeout pitcher, I guess, but the walk number's a little bit high, and really concerning, he's allowed 5 home runs. So the long ball has been a big problem for him so far, so he's got to figure some things out, man. So I don't know if we're ready to trust Whisenhunt, although I think he is better than his numbers look so far. He's a lefty, and sometimes hitters can have difficulty trying to figure out left-handed pitchers. Against the Cubs, the Cubs have, of course, never seen him before, so he does have a little bit of an unfamiliarity edge against the Cubs here. So Whisenhunt might actually pitch okay in this game. As far as the money line, it's dropped from -128 to -126 on the Cubs. They got 88% of the tickets and cash on them. They're a very public road favorite, though, so it looks like probably the professional money is saying fade the Cubs here and take San Francisco. I mean, I could see the argument for that because Ray has bad matchup numbers. If you buy into Whisenhunt being unfamiliar to the Cubs, and then you get San Francisco's bullpen behind them, though, of course, the Cubs have a way better offense, and the Cubs at least have something to play for. But if you buy into the matchup numbers, it does make sense to maybe look towards San Francisco as an underdog on the money line. And the total's actually gone up from 8 to 8.5. 68% tickets, 90% of the cash on the over. I'm not sure that I love that move there. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, although, again, I don't know if we trust Ray based on his matchup numbers and the fact that he has too many walks recently. I don't know if we trust Whisenhunt either, though, so maybe that's the reasoning for the over, is just that the starting pitchers are just a bit untrustworthy in this one. It's a little bit of a higher total than a lot of times you see in San Francisco because it is a pitcher-friendly park. And then to finish it off, not a pitcher-friendly park, Detroit at the A's. Detroit not playing great right now. The A's have won the first 2 games of the series. Detroit, they need to make sure that they maintain their lead in the AL Central here. The A's do have a divisional matchup up next against Texas. Last night was an extra innings win for them. Does that mean they're going to overlook Detroit? Probably not, but I mean, Detroit might take the A's as seriously as possible coming into this game because they've lost both games in the series so far, including the Screw Bowl game. So Detroit kind of needs to step it up and play better here, but I don't know that Detroit's going to be able to avoid the sweep here, man. Even though the A's, they do have a big divisional series up next, so the A's are pretty much out of it. So really, a game where the A's will show up might be a game at home against a good team like this, although, of course, this really hitter-friendly AAA ballpark they're playing in is ugly. The A's used a lot of their bullpen yesterday, so their bullpen, you want to take them out of the equation unless you're going over, because this is a bad bullpen that used a lot of their arms last night, so that's not good. Detroit used fewer of theirs. So Detroit, their bullpen's in much better rest shape. Detroit has the better bullpen. The A's have the better offense out of the two. I'm pretty sure the A's are 5th actually now in offense. Detroit's down at 10th in OPS at least. So that's something to keep in mind there. Starting pitching, I almost want to say that the starting pitching edge actually goes to the A's here. Detroit has Casey Mize pitching. You know, I'm not a huge fan of him. I think he's not as good as his numbers look based on his career stats. This season does have pretty good numbers, though. 3.68 ERA, 1.27 whip. He's a little bit worse on the road, 3.75 ERA. This is a difficult park to pitch in, man. The A's stadium here, very hitter-friendly. Mize has been all right over the last month. I mean, his team has won his last 5 outings. 4.7 ERA, not great this month, but 19-4 strikeout walk ratio is pretty good. So his ERA actually should probably be a little bit lower. And he's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning over that span, too. So he's actually pitched better than his ERA would suggest this month. Although he's faced Minnesota twice, Anaheim was the best offense he faced, and then Kansas City, 3 of those games at home. So he's had some fairly weak offenses for the most part that he's faced. The A's only Rooker has ever faced him, though, and he's 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. So the A's are pretty unfamiliar with Mize. So Mize has a pretty decent unfamiliarity edge coming into this game, at least. But still not sure that I totally trust him, but I'm not really sure I want to completely fade him here either. Luis Morales is going to be getting the start for the A's. He's a young guy, 22. So I haven't really handicapped, I think I looked at his scouting right before he made his first start, but I don't really know too much about this guy. He's got a 1.72 ERA, 1.15 whip, but he still doesn't even have his headshot up on ESPN, but his numbers are good so far this year. He's been a little bit worse at home, 2.57 ERA, but obviously that's explainable by the fact that this is a ridiculously hitter-friendly park, but he's made 4 appearances, 2 of them are only 2+ innings to get to get his feet wet, I guess. But then his last 2 starts, he made full-fledged starts, and he went 5 and 6 innings in each of them and gave up 2 earned runs combined over that span with an 11-2 strikeout walk ratio. So even though he walked 5 guys against Baltimore, his command seemingly has settled down. His last 2 outings were basically full-fledged starts where he did well in both of them against Anaheim and Seattle. Seattle on the road. I know it's a pitcher-friendly park, so this is a different animal here, but he pitched well in this stadium at home against Anaheim too. So that's a decent sign for Morales. And Detroit has, of course, never faced him before, so he has an unfamiliarity edge here, too. So, interesting game. The total, is going to be high because it's at the A's Stadium. It's at 10.5, but under money kind of coming in here, juicing it to the under. 57% of tickets on the over, 70% of the cash on the over. But the under, to me, it makes some sense, although I would not want to factor in the bullpens into that. I think both starting pitchers with their unfamiliarity edge maybe could keep this thing under in the first 5, but I'm not sure if I trust Mize. I think Morales might be the more trustworthy starter here. Detroit's down from -125 to -120 on the money line. They're a road favorite here because, of course, they pretty much have to be because they're Detroit. 84% of tickets, 85% of the cash coming in on them. But they're a very public road favorite here. I think I would lean to first 5 inning A's just with Morales in there for the early part of the game. A's first 5 money line as the underdog is probably the way that I would lean in that game, man. And then just avoid the A's bullpen because the A's bullpen might get you there. Let's go to the best bets, and then I'll get out of here, man. Another long show for me. What can you do? Hopefully these bets get there this time, man. First one up, we're going back to the well, sort of, with a Toronto Blue Jays run line play, -1.5. You can find it at +120 right now. You can play the money line, but the money line's up to about -150, something maybe bigger than that. So it's a little bit more expensive than I'd like to play there. Sometimes I say find a -1 run line or split the -1.5, half and half between the -1.5 run line and the money line. But it's a little bit pricey to do that here. And the -1.5 is really close to basically just being a spread bet. And yes, I know Toronto's at home, so they won't get the 9th inning to bat if they are already ahead. So I know you worry about that a little bit because they won't have that extra inning to pad their lead here. But Toronto has the better offense. Minnesota's offense fairly weak, and they did trade Correa away. Toronto, I know their bullpen usage was bad yesterday. I get it. But 3 of their relief pitchers that pitched only made single-digit pitch counts there. So, although they're mostly long relief guys, and hilariously, one of them is Louis Varland, pitching against his former team here in Minnesota, I believe. But Minnesota's bullpen isn't very good either, and they used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. So the bullpen situation is still not really that great on either side of the Minnesota. I guess is a little bit more rested because of the prior days, but not by a whole lot. But when you go run line like this, a lot of times you have to go full game on it anyway. And I think Minnesota's bullpen might have to get into the game earlier than Toronto's does. That's part of the hope here is that we get deeper into the game from Toronto's starting pitcher here. You could look to maybe go first 5 inning Toronto run line here if you really want to. The price might be a little bit better on that. Actually, the price on that's probably worse because they have a pretty big starting pitching edge here. Minnesota's got Simeon Woods Richardson returning, and he's been either injured or in the minors or both. I'm not sure, but his numbers are a lot worse this year than they were in the past. He's still a young guy, but he doesn't really have excellent stuff. He's a decent guy to kind of fill out your rotation, but 4.24 ERA, 1.4 whip. That whip is way too high. He's significantly worse on the road, 5.3 ERA on the road, so his road splits are against him here. He pitched in the month of July last, and throughout that month, his ERA was good, 3.22, but his strikeout walk ratio was terrible. I don't know if you can hear that out there, but dude, when people drive by and they rev their engines so loud, it's unbelievable, dude. Like, I think people like that, those specific people should be arrested for that, man. Like, you're on a civilian street here. I mean, give me a fucking break. It's so ridiculous. Doing it late at night is even more ridiculous. But Woods Richardson had a 17-13 strikeout walk ratio in July, and he failed to even make it 5 innings in his last 3 outings, although granted, 2 of them were against Dodgers, Red Sox. Not easy teams to face, although Minnesota won both of those games. But his numbers were bad, man. I mean, his walk rate was way too high over that span. So again, he puts way too many guys on base. So I don't find him to be very trustworthy. And his numbers against Toronto are awful. I know it's a small 25 at-bat sample size. They got a couple homers off him. Schneider and Bichette, 400 batting average. 1,160 OPS, although 3 strikeouts and no walks. So somehow he hasn't walked any of them. But their numbers are good. They hit him hard, so I don't think Woods Richardson's going to give us much here, even though I know he's a guy who might be pumped to come back from injury here. But I think Toronto's going to be motivated for a couple of reasons. They want to maintain their lead in the AL East, which is slipping. They lost embarrassingly to this Minnesota team yesterday, man. And Toronto had the lead. Like I said, I thought that it was a better first 5 inning play on I'm looking at the wrong game. It was 7-5 yesterday. Yeah, so Toronto won the first game of the series, but yesterday, I mean, I thought the first 5 inning was the way to look for Minnesota, but Toronto had the lead after the first 5, and then their bullpen completely blew it, even though Toronto out-hit Minnesota 14-9. So Toronto was better in the game, and they gave up 4 runs in the 9th inning, and that's the reason why they lost. They had the lead all game, including into the 9th inning, and then blew it. So very misleading result there, too, and I think Toronto's going to be a little bit pissed off of that, so I think it's a little bit of a motivational edge for Toronto off of that, too. And, of course, Toronto has the better starter on the mound, who might be their best starter, Eric Lauer, having a really good season for them. 2.76 ERA, 1.08 whip. And you know me, I've played some Toronto run lines, at least one recently with Lauer on the mound, and it was an easy winner. So let's hope that happens again. He has a 2.45 ERA at home, so that's good as well. I think the one that I did play, which was the easy winner, was it was last time out, actually, against Texas, so that was at home as well, and we got there easily, so hopefully that happens again. Lauer has a 3.21 ERA this month. I am a little bit worried about the walks, though, not going to lie. 12-8 strikeout walk ratio this month. That's a bit concerning, although the worst game that he had was against the Dodgers on the road, and this is certainly not that. This is a much weaker lineup here. He's back at home, so I think that Dodger outing that wasn't very good was a little bit of a blip, and they still won that game, hilariously. The Blue Jays have won 5 of his last 6 starts, and the start they didn't win was actually still a pretty good start against Baltimore. And before his last start, he had 4 straight road starts as well. So, again, he's trying to come back into form here. Yes, again, I'm worried about the walks in the recent couple of starts, but I still think he's pitching well overall, and his numbers are good against the Twins, although it's only 13 at-bats, so they're pretty unfamiliar with him. But 3-2 strikeout walk ratio. Both walks are Buxton. But, I mean, if he can pitch around Buxton, the rest of this lineup is not that threatening. He's held them to a 231 batting average and 641 OPS, so I think Lauer has a pretty significant matchup edge here, in my opinion. He's the better pitcher. Again, it is a public side here, but we'll go with it in this one. We got 84% of tickets, 95% of the cash on Toronto, with the money line sitting at minus 180. It seems to be the way we're going in this one. The total is high as well, 9, with money coming in on the over as well. So I think that indicates that the odds makers are thinking that Woods Richardson might not pitch well here. And if it's maybe neither pitcher will, but I think more likely it's going to be the worst of the 2 pitchers not pitching well. And if it's a higher scoring game, that makes it easier to cover a run line like this. So let's go with it. Toronto, run line. And then finally, we're going to go with the Mets, but the Mets are up to about minus 150 here. So Toronto's up to minus 180, so my mistake on that one. When I thought it was around minus 150, but minus 180. This game, we will do a split better. If you want to do a minus 1 run line, that's fine as well with the Mets. If you want to go with the money line and pay more for it, you could do that too. But minus 150, I tend to not go that high on the money line. So I'm going to say we're going to split the bet, basically make your own minus 1 run line. Because if they win by 1, you'll still at least win a slight amount on this. Whereas if you win the minus 1 run line bet, it'll actually push. If they win by 1, I mean, it'll push your bet. The Mets, -1.5, you can get it at +140 around there right now, along with the -150 run line. So I split the bet to win the same amount on both halves of the bet. I think the Mets have a big advantage here, man. Yes, I know the Phillies are going to want to try to fix this thing, right? Because the Phillies are letting the Mets claw their way back here, but the Mets have huge motivation in this series, man, because Philly at least has padding in the division still, even though they don't want the Mets to catch up to them. But the Mets, they're hosting the Phillies here, man. The Phillies have had the edge since early in the season when the Mets were on top of the division. The Mets are still better than their record looks. They had a really bad slide for a while, but they're playing better baseball again recently, winning 4 of the last 5 games. Yes, Philly's going to want to try to avoid a sweep here. I don't know if this is a 4 or 3 game series here. It's a 3-game series. So yes, Philly will come out and try to avoid a sweep here, but there's no way the Mets overlook this. And the Mets have more motivation because the Reds are close behind them. So the Mets need to make sure that they're staying ahead in the wild card race too, because right now they're in the last wild card spot, believe it or not, as well as they started the season. But the Mets, again, they're not as good as they looked at the beginning of the season, but they're not as bad as they looked over the past month or so. So the Mets, they could definitely do this, and this is all about the pitching matchup, man. I think this is a bad pitching matchup for Philadelphia here. Philadelphia has the worst of the 2 bullpens, too. Yes, Philadelphia has the better offense, but the Mets can hit as well. Philadelphia used all but one of their relief pitchers right now, basically just David Robertson, who I don't even know. He might be a long relief man because Romano's on the injured list here. So this Philly bullpen that's already not that good is very overworked right now. Mets did use 4 relievers as well yesterday, actually 5. But the Mets have a few guys they didn't use yesterday, so the Mets, their bullpen rest here is a little bit better, and they do have the better bullpen in general. So I think it was an extra inning game yesterday. I guess it wasn't. It looked like it was an extra innings game. I hate this new font from ESPN, by the way. But anyway, yeah, the Mets won. And again, it was a huge win for the Mets. So yeah, you'd think maybe they'll be in a letdown spot after that because they won in dramatic fashion on the walk-off. But they were winning most of the game, and then they blew the lead late and then were able to hang on for the win. So I think in this case, again, the Mets are obviously going to be completely motivated here still. So I don't think it'll be a letdown spot. And the starting pitching matchup, to me, I think is very in favor of the Mets. Taijuan Walker pitching for the Phillies. He's not that good, man. I mean, he's not a guy that gives you a lot of innings at this point in his career. 3.44 ERA, 1.28 whip. I know his numbers are all right. He is better on the road, 2.63 ERA, so we're fading that aspect of this. But this month, even though he has a 2.28 ERA, he's faced Baltimore, Washington twice, and his team lost both those games. And he faced Cincinnati, on the road. So he did well in that start. That's impressive. He hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any of these starts, but he's got a 14-6 strikeout walk ratio. So his walk rate is too high. Walker does occasionally live up to his name. So I wouldn't say he's in the greatest form here. And the Mets are a step up offensively from the last 4 or 5 opponents that he faced, basically. Last time he faced a lineup anywhere near as good as this, he struggled a bit against the Yankees, even though he got a ton of run support behind him, and they still won the game. But I just don't think you could trust Walker here. His numbers against the Mets are mediocre, but a lot of this handicap has to do with the fact that the Mets are very familiar with Walker. They've faced him a lot, 131 at-bats. They have 22 strikeouts and 15 walks against him and 7 home runs, and 3 of them are Alonso. 2 for Nimmo. So they've hit him for power, man. That's the thing. They haven't hit him for average. 244 batting average is low, but all the other offensive stats they have off of Walker are good. It's way too many walks. Again, Walker is a walker. And 777 OPS is actually considerably high considering that the batting average is so low. So Walker gets hit for power by the Mets, so that's not good. And the Mets have our guy, Nolan McLean. Bye-bye, Miss American Pie, Don McLean. Nolan McLean, the youngster for the Mets here, who has good scouting reports on him. He was a highly touted draft pick. He's a highly touted prospect here. He's entered the rotation, and he might be there to stay, man, for the stretch run because he's been good so far. 1.46 ERA, 0.81 whip. He has a 0 ERA at home so far. 1 home start was a shutout against Seattle. He had some nerves in that game, but I believe I gave out an under in that game, if I'm not mistaken. It was the first 5 under, I think, for me in that one. And it got there. The full game did as well, even though McLean walked 4 guys. I think some of that was due to nerves. He was nervous maybe a bit first start at home. walked some guys, but he only allowed 2 hits. He didn't even allow a run. Went 5 1/3 innings. He's already going 90 pitches in each start so far, so that's good as well. He came out and he went 7 innings in his next start on the road against the Braves, held them to 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, no walks. So his command became much better in that next start. His strikeout rate is really good so far. He's allowed only 6 hits in 12 1/3 innings so far, and only 2 runs, 15-4 strikeout walk ratio. So his numbers are looking pretty good so far early on in his career, man. And he's also thriving on the fact that he's unfamiliar. So even though he's facing a good Philly lineup here, which will be the best offense that he's faced so far, so he's got to step it up. He's been good so far. He's shown that he could do this at the major league level, and the Phillies have never seen him before, so he has a little bit of an extra built-in advantage there because the Phillies might struggle to try to figure him out early, man. So Nolan McLean, we're going to go with the Mets here, and the public seems to not really agree with that and think there's no way Philly can get swept here, man. Philly's the better team. They got the better record. They got this good offense. Everybody likes Philly. Now, I was shocked that Philly didn't win the Christopher Sanchez game. I'm pretty sure it was the first game of the series. That shocked me. Yesterday, they had Luzardo on the mound, and I thought they were going to have the lead after 5 because of that, and they had the lead into the 5th inning, but Luzardo loaded the bases, and then he got thrown out of the game for arguing with the home plate umpire. Luzardo is just losing his mind, man. But the fact that he loaded the bases, even if he stayed in the game, he was probably going to give up that lead. So I'm not too mad about predicting the first 5 innings. Philly covering the first, or Philly money line. I mean, was my lean in the first 5 innings yesterday, and that probably was going to lose anyway because he loaded the bases. But still, Philly, they got some mental issues right now, I think, with that happening to Luzardo yesterday. So I think the mental state actually may not be that great for Philly right now. And the Mets, it seems like it's actually pretty good on their side. So I think it might continue for the Mets here, for that momentum. We got 56% of tickets, 79% of the cash coming in on the Mets. The Mets are getting the money here as well. So we're going to go with the Mets. Like I said, 71% of tickets, 91% of the cash coming in on the over, which is sitting at 8.5. I mean, I suppose the argument for that would be include the bullpens because the bullpens are kind of overworked and Phillies isn't that good. Walker isn't that good. So basically everything except for McLean kind of leads you to believe that the game's going to be a bit high scoring as well. So I could see that argument, but I think the Mets side is the way to go in that one. And that's going to do it, man. The 2 plays today, trying to be selective. Toronto run line and Mets split bet, half on the run line, half on the money line there. Oops, sorry. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter, Learn to Toad on Instagram. I put out the short betting content there. We got Bettor Off Dead. Of course, like, subscribe to the channel here on YouTube. Continue to interact with me. Everything helps out. We're on audio, Spotify, Apple. So go give the show a good review on there, and that will help as well. Covered in Uke is my ukulele outlet on YouTube, so I'm trying to post everything I post on Twitter there now as well, so go check that out. And then patreon.com/learntotode. We got extra Uke content, or if you just want to throw me some support, that I love that as well. And, the money that I make from that will help me either survive or put it back into the show or whatever. I got to figure out what I'm doing right now, how to survive, but that's going to do it. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. I appreciate it, or whoever was hanging out. Not too many people, but thanks, everyone, and peace for now.